Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, a few days ago, I shared this article here, Newark Muslim Wants to Lead National Group, and how I kind of stumbled upon this when I was looking for a blower in my garage to blow my leaves. And we kind of went over that and read this together. But today, inshallah, hopefully we can, I want to share how all of this came about. And like I said, we had good wishes and support, but also we mentioned we had, those who wasn't sure about what was going on, because this is related to when the Imam resigned in 2003 at our convention there. And like I say, we had those who supported us, but we also had, criticism, as I mentioned, Imam's assistant at that time. So today, we just want to go over a few more things as to how all this came about in terms of the coverage, the vast media coverage, okay, as a result of this, of me stepping forward. Now, as I showed before, the Chicago Tribune, which is the second largest paper in the country, probably even the world, New York Times, etc., covered me stepping forward to try to help reorganize the American Muslim ASM, etc. I showed you that, but real quick, I want to just show something else. First of all the media attention came about as a result of this ad in the Muslim Journal when I stepped forward and said I was going to make my comments and present my plans, the American Society of Muslim, A New Beginning. That was December 21st, 2003. But this is on the back of the Muslim Journal. This is December 12th. We ran it, the same thing with that picture of the Imam about 3 times, okay? And then once this was seen, it sparked up all of the media attention. Now, let me say this here, and I told you before, Brother Najee Ali, who was Imam Muhammad's son-in-law at the time, he had contact with the media, particularly the Chicago Tribune, and when he saw this, he was moved and felt that it had great meaning, which it does. To see a picture of the Imam with myself pointing to the Quran and the nature of our community, it's a very significant and meaningful picture, and it wasn't posed. We didn't plan to do that, the Imam and I. So this is very important. So once he reached out to the Chicago Tribune, and they wrote the story which I shared before, and then it ended up with the New York Times, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which we'll show over again, inshallah. So by all accounts, this is a very significant picture, I would say myself. But anyway, so that's what led to the Chicago Tribune, and then once that, other media picked up on it because it's very significant. Once the Imam stepped down, and we met and we stepped forward, so that's how some of the media took place. But as I say, there was some criticism also against me trying to reorganize the American Society of Muslim, but that's, again, not to hold against anyone. We're just sharing this history. But I want to play something for you now. New York Times. Now, all this, what we're going to share, is intended to be positive. We're looking back at history and things that happened, but intent is to move forward. So now here, this was the New York Times, who was in attendance when we gave our presentation and announced the direction we were going in with the ASM in Newark. And so now let me go to a perspective that was given concerning the media attention that was given, a perspective by the Imam assistant at that time, his national representative, as he was called at that time. He shared a perspective in terms of why we was getting this media, and that was in Detroit when he did that. Now, what I'm going to share is from a video that was sent to me back then with him speaking in Detroit, representing Imam Muhammad, and he would go there. But here, Imam Earl Abdul Malik Muhammad, International Institute in Detroit, Michigan, January 18th, 2004. Filmed by Miriam, etc. Now I'm showing this because I like to verify what we say and not take anything out of context. And this has no negative aim whatsoever. Okay. So this was sent to me, and inshallah I'll go through some things. You know, I had a lot of history there in Detroit. You know, from the early days on. That was like my second home in terms of work. Practically every masjid had me there for one thing or another.
Say this for the record, okay? Just for the record, for the public record. How is it that major media is addressing Imam W.D. Muhammad's successor, but yet when he was leader, by and large, wouldn't approach him for what his plans were for his people, for seeking out his successor? What does that tell you? That tells you that there's something behind the interest to have him sit down. Think about it. Just reflect on it.
Now, that was his perspective, the way he saw it in his opinion. And he, you know, as he was entitled to that. I mean, he was there in Detroit doing some work on behalf of the Imam. I think they was planning a program. And so we just wanted to share that while I'm trying to do this work here. And as you say, you say, well, you know, Imam wasn't getting his media attention, but for some reason, the successor, I guess he was referring to, I know he was referring to me, was getting this media here. But like I said, this New York Times, yes, Washington Post, Atlanta Constitution, yeah, it went all over, big media. But like I said, once that occurred on the back of the Muslim Journal, and the significance of that picture in terms of symbolism in our religion, in our community. When you think of the Imam and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad sitting, holding Quran. So once Brother Najee reached out to that, and once it hit that, but that's how that came about. Now, as we shared before, Chicago Tribune, new leader steps forward, right? And we read this, excuse my hand is jumping while I'm trying to hold this. 3 months after the Imam resigned, Mustafa El-Amin, a longtime supporter and the Imam of Ibrahim Mosque in Newark, said Tuesday that he will make a formal announcement. And I did that at Rutgers, but okay. And here, yes, this is on the front page. Now, I shared that clip only because I'm trying to match it up. If you can be patient, hopefully it won't take long, with the work that we were doing and that perspective and how now, I don't hold that against anyone. You know, I just want to share with you all what was going on. And so, and showing this here. Now, what I was going to say is that was just that clip there. I won't clip it apart like that so someone can say, oh, you just taking it out of context. No, I'll play a clip to this, clip to that, but I also will play, you know, the complete comments. But here, I want to say here, where say W.D. Muhammad is supporting Imam Mustafa El-Amin, and this is encouragement, said Naji Ali, Imam W.D. Muhammad's son-in-law and director of the Los Angeles-based Project Islamic Hope. So he kind of set that in motion. And like I said, I was doing what I was doing, and it was like a train moving fast. And so getting this attention from the media, which I didn't know it was going to be like that, and responding to these things. Okay, so um, just showing you how the media was onto that, and how his assistant, who was there in Detroit, which I think he was going every month on behalf of the imam, and that was one of the imam's offices under Sister Miriam. And I guess he felt some need to, which I'll share with you some more, to say something about the ASM, which I intend to share with you an interview with the imam where questions even asked about him and other things, So this is our history, okay? So this Chicago Tribune, another article. As you see, this is after I made my presentation. Newark Imam making move to head Black Muslim group. And as we shared the other day, we won't read this whole thing, but here El-Amin said Muhammad gave him his blessings to be that leader, though Muhammad has not done so publicly. Moreover, a national spokesman for Muhammad denied yesterday that his boss had anointed El-Amin to succeed him. While calling El-Amin a noted author and respected member of the Islamic community, the spokesman E. Abdul Malik Muhammad said W.D. Muhammad recently identified imams from Los Angeles, Atlanta, and Washington, D.C. as possible replacements. El-Amin's name was not mentioned. So now, for sure, I'm not going to leave that hanging because I don't do that. Just play a clip, take it out of context. But we're going to try to walk through some things and start from the beginning how all of this came about with the Imam resignation, my connection to that, and then Imam Earl Abdul Malik connection to all of that as his spokesman, as his representative at that time. So, and you have those that's trying to bring us together now. So I'm just showing where things were in 2003 when the Imam resigned, and his life has went on with 20 years older, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I hope this can be put in the right context. Now, just to keep everything clear, why that video was sent to me, we'll get to that as well, but I'll just say I had such a strong history and relationship with the believers there in Detroit, and as I said, every masjid under our association at some point invited me there to be the speaker, either at a program or into the masjid. And so naturally, if what I was doing in terms of the ASM, and for him to criticize me or whatever his purpose was, that of course someone was going to send that to me. But not only that, because that was at the Imam's one of his office there in Detroit, I want to call it. So I know it was sent to Imam Muhammad too, but inshallah we'll put it all in context, okay? But we're going to walk through this here in terms of a little bit step by step in terms of what brought us to this point here of me stepping forward, okay? Okay, 2003, first connection. Imam W.D. Muhammad visits Ibrahim Masjid in Newark, okay? This is May 29th, 2003, right? Imam W.D. Muhammad visits Masjid Ibrahim, and I say thank you again for inviting me to join you all in prayer. These words were expressed by Imam W.D. Muhammad as he visited Masjid Ibrahim for Asa prayer May 29th, 2003. Okay? Now, not saying much here, Just letting you know that was 2003 May, and then 3 months later he resigned. Okay, but not only was he there, he instructed me to lead the Salat, to lead him in Salat. Imam Muhammad Masjid Ibrahim. Remember this date, May 29th, 2003. Okay? I led the Imam in prayer at his request. And I don't know if I said. Here, I just played this part of the Imam coming into the Masjid, Masjid Ibrahim.
Oh, okay, yes.
Imam said the camera's ready, let's take photos. So he wants to document this. I was a little nervous, ready to lead the prayer. He said, let's, we got the photo, let's document this, right? And he's saying his daughter and his granddaughter is there. Layla and her daughter was there.
They do a lot of writing. He just reminded me of that. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Now, I'm showing this. This is 3 months before the Imam resigns.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The Lord has blessed us with some good-hearted well-meaning, sensitive, especially well-meaning hearts.
I'm telling him we've been blessed with sincere, good-hearted brothers and sisters.
That's what you need for a foundation. Yeah. They'll make the foundation. We had a strong, good, sincere foundation in Chicago and all around the country. They're still there. A lot of them are gone, but there's still some around. But they're from the very beginning. They're still here. 90-some years old. Yeah.
Now, this is in Newark, okay, May. Now, 3 months from now, in August, he resigns, okay? So I'm just making that connection. Then he comes back in October, and I step forward.
Spiritual leader of the American Society of Muslims announced his resignation Sunday after more than 3 decades. Imam W.D. Muhammad talks about Islamic life in America.
I don't know about you, but when I told the imams of my resignation yesterday, a big burden went off my back. But when I told the imams of my resignation yesterday, a big burden went off my back. Yes. So I hope that gave you a little relief. Praise be to Allah.
Now, I'm tying this together for me because 2003. So now 3 months after he visits Masjid Ibrahim, and as you see, I led him in prayer, and we were there together. Okay. So now 3 months after that, we go to the convention, right? And the Imam, as you heard, announced his resignation, which he had told us over the weekend before he made the public address. Now, shortly after that, which was August 31st, convention time, September 10th, as you can see this Muslim Journal, if you have it, you can pull it up. September 10th, 2003, an exclusive interview with Imam W.D. Muhammad. Now, if you can pull it up, because I won't go through all of the question and answer, we'll highlight some things, but you can go ahead and pull this paper up, right? Because I'm trying to show the sequence, okay, to me stepping forward to what Earl Abdul Malik said, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Now, this is important. Just trying to document some things. And the interview is by Nathaniel Omar. Okay. Here, one thing I just want to go to, and you pull the paper. Okay, it says, Imam Muhammad, my message for them. We want to begin by talking about the sincere believer, those sincere believers who know you and trust you and still see you as their leader. What is your message? Imam Muhammad, my message for them is that once you are a real Muslim and a believer, you never change from being a Muslim and a believer. Once you are a good Muslim and a good believer, you never change. You stay a good Muslim and a believer. For God has already blessed you with faith, and God does not change that for you. You keep that. If you go back, you were never a believer in the first place. Now listen to this. For an imam, once you are an imam who is a good Muslim and a believer, you never resign from being an imam. You are an imam until you die. You die an imam. So that is my statement to all these good people who have supported me all this time and helped me to accomplish these good things that we have been able to accomplish. Okay, so now when I step forward and say what I have to say, I go to this paper here on December 21st. It may well play a clip from that, okay? Because we won't be able to go to that. But hold on, I'm going to do some pieces here so we can keep moving on. But you can pull that paper up. Okay, here real quick. Muslim Journal, the brother said, obviously, there are some imams whose performance you are not pleased with. So what is your message or advice to those good imams who do support you? Imam says, I would prefer to make a statement to them regarding the element that is not like them, that refuse to give me open and full support. They have a separate agenda and have always had a separate agenda. They always go back among themselves in privacy and look at what I suggest and see if what I suggest can be accepted by them according to what they have on their agenda for themselves. They were back in the time of my father. Nothing has changed. And they have pretended to be here supporting me before the general membership. They pretend to be in support of my father, and they were not. They go back to themselves and say something different. And he quote them, now we've heard what the Imam said, so what are we going to do? What is our position? That is what they say when they get back to themselves and away from us, out of our eyesight and hearing. I would like to speak to the imams who support me, but speak to them regarding this situation and the leadership of the American Society of Muslims. We should understand that these imams, some of them, I believe, care more about their new government jobs that they have because of my opening up the community to embrace all good structures of American society. Also a statement here on this front page here, statement from Imam W.D. Muhammad office to make it clear that Imam W.D. Muhammad has resigned from the leadership of the American Society of Muslims, not from his lifelong mission. He remains ready to serve in Islam for all Muslims, etc., 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 right? His work, Imam Muhammad, world leader, is free to continue his work, etc. Okay? Okay, the other Imam says here, and I won't stay here. I hope that the ASM leadership will identify, first of all, a new spokesman for the ASM, whether they call him their leader or an imam or not. They should have a national spokesperson or representative. If they don't, then I don't know where they can go. You have to have leadership, right? Once they establish that, as Imam Fareed of Norfolk, Virginia said, it may not be an individual, but at least a body, a council that will represent them and the members of the ASM if they establish that. I would like to see them having their own convention. And we want to end here. We will definitely have a convention yearly as Maz cares. It will be a convention to bring our supporters together, etc., etc., etc. But here's what I want to say here. I want to read. He say, I foresee there being two conventions, their convention and our convention, as I am willing to work with ISNA and the Islamic Circle of North America and all good organizations here in Chicago area. I'm also willing to work with the good imams of the ASM. Alhamdulillah. So this is what we're reading. Now, okay, so if you have this paper, go pull it up. So then the brother who's interviewing Imam asks him about Imam Earl Abdul Malik, right? His assistant. Okay, and the brother said, he speaks, he says here, Earl Abdul Malik, he speaks on your behalf at various locations in the United States. And listen to this, it says, how does your resignation as leader of the ASM affect his role? Imam Earl Abdul Malik, right? Now look what the Imam says. Well, not at all. Although E. Abdul Malik was a member of the ASM, as I was, and also an imam involved at one time in the Baltimore and Washington area. Since he has been with me, most of his work has been in support of my leadership and in support of the agenda that we have for the WDM ministry, the Mosque Cares. Okay, I know he want to go ahead and grab this, brother, right? And those who support him. What the Imam say, he was supporting them, right? Now, look what the Imam says. So his role won't change. That is still his role. His role will be affected, though, because of now, as he represent me, he can't answer masjid invitations to come and lead Jummah. You see? So his role won't change, but he say he will be affected by that, right? He said, it is not because that would be harmful, for they can invite any imam they want from Egypt or Pakistan or anywhere or from any race or group they want. The ASM imams can invite anybody they want to come and lead Jummah. But it is important that I keep separate. So his office keeps separate. For right now, people in the public and others will be confused if I come and lead Jummah for them. It is not that I don't have the spirit to lead Jummah for them. I do have the spirit to lead Jummah for them. But I am sure those who don't like to mention in their khutbah when they are speaking to their followers that Islam is freedom, justice, and equality, and those who don't care to promote the Muslim Journal in their area, who don't like to talk about embracing your Christian neighbors next door to you, they wouldn't want me coming there and giving a khutbah and making a public address. I know that. Okay, so I'm gonna have to stop here. Now, that was the interview there by Nathaniel Omar. Now, on October 22nd, 2003, the Imam is interviewed by a sister in Chicago, and she asks him, did he want everyone to resign? It was getting their resignations, right? And did he want the ASM to dissolve? So listen, please, very, very carefully, okay? This is October 22nd. Then he comes to Newark on his birthday weekend, the 30th and 31st, and he tells me he didn't want people to resign, and that led to what you see here. Okay, so listen very carefully because it's clear, but not super clear.
But just for clarification, but that was what our thinking was, that we thought your thinking was, and so this clarifies. Yes, sir. A lot. Yes, sir. Right. Thank you so much. That's the question because, in reading the paper, there are so many centers that are, designing, and they are, every week it's more and more and more. And so I guess my bigger question was, is it your intent for ASM to dissolve, or? No, I really want them not to dissolve. Mm-hmm. I want them to bring their best leaders forward. Mm-hmm. That's what we thought, brother, man. And do the right thing, right. That's what we thought. And on their own, not in my name. Yes. So they can blame all the shortcomings on me, Yeah. So that still can happen. Mm-hmm. That still can happen. We're still hoping that will happen. Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to play it again. You hear the sister say that we're getting a lot of people resigning. Was that what you wanted? He said, no, I wanted them to go ahead and improve it, et cetera, but not in his name. That's why when I stepped forward, it was on me and whoever was going to do that. That's why the Imam had resigned. If he was going to keep talking about it, he would have stayed there, right? So anyway, but understand this. This is the 22nd of October. And he says that can still happen. So now when he comes to Newark and I tell him I resign, and he say that's not what he wanted, then I step forward because he say that could still happen. At that point, it hadn't happened, okay? I'm going to play it again several times so you can hear it, okay?
So we're not recruiting. Well, I asked the question because, in reading the paper, there's so many centers that are, resigning, and they are, every week it's more and more and more. And so I guess my bigger question was, is it your intent for ASM to dissolve, or? No, I really want them not to dissolve. I want them to bring their best leaders forward. That's what we thought, brother, man. And do the right thing, right. That's what we thought. And on their own, not in my name. Yeah. So they can blame all the shortcomings on me, Yeah. So that still can happen. That still can happen. We're still hoping that will happen.
Now, we heard what the Imam said. He didn't want it to be dissolved, right?
Well, I asked the question because, in reading the paper, there are so many centers that are, resigning, and they are, every week it's more and more and more. And so I guess my bigger question was, is it your intent for ASM to dissolve, or? No, I really want them not to dissolve. I want them to bring their best leaders forward. That's what we thought, brother, man. And do the right thing, right. That's what we thought. And on their own, not in my name. Yeah. So they can blame all the shortcomings on me, Yeah. So that still can happen. That still can happen. We're still hoping that will happen.
Now, again, this is before he and I spoke in Newark on the 30th or the 31st, when he said that still could happen. So when he comes to Newark and he says what he said to me, now the effort goes forward. This is before he spoke with me, And then as I did this, then I was able to get this tape to see that he had said that even before he met with me.
Well, I asked the question because, in reading the paper, there are so many centers that are, resigning, and they are, every week it's more and more and more. And so I guess my bigger question was, is it your intent for ASM to dissolve, or? No, I really want them not to dissolve. I want them to bring their best leaders forward. That's what we thought, brother, man. And do the right thing, right. That's what we thought. And on their own, not in my name. Yeah. So they can blame all the shortcomings on me, Yeah. So that still can happen. That still can happen. We're still hoping that will happen.
I'm going to play it one more time. I know that, I know somebody say, okay, we got it, brother Imam, but now listen, if I have to play it 100 times so you can get it, because now I'm not real serious what I'm saying here, man. But if you knew what I went through when I was saying the Imam didn't want it resolved and dissolved, and things I went through, and to come back now and let everybody hear the Imam himself, not just my words, saying no, he didn't want it dissolved. He wanted to go ahead, but not to blame him for everything, to move independent. So I'm gonna play it one more time. So now you see Newark Muslim leader wants to national good. I'm doing that because the Imam said he didn't want us to do it a different way. He didn't want it to be dissolved and destroyed, no matter what anybody said, Abdul Malik or anybody else, And I wasn't slighting him when I said that, because I'm gonna play something where he's basically saying that. But that's in the past. This is our history. I'm not saying that nobody look at him in a negative way. I appreciate what good he's trying to do.
I asked the question because, in reading the paper, there are so many centers that are, resigning, and they are, every week it's more and more and more. And so I guess my bigger question was, is it your intent for ASM to dissolve, or? No, I really want them not to dissolve. I want them to bring their best leaders forward. That's what we thought, brother, man. And do the right thing, right. That's what we thought. And on their own, not in my name. Yeah. So they can blame all the shortcomings on me, Yeah. So that still can happen. That still can happen. We're still hoping that will happen.
Focus or take attention off of the ASM. So what does it look like for somebody else who's going to resurrect the ASM? That's right. So as I said before, that you need to understand, you need to be clear on the fact that the Imam's resignation is to be understood as a strategy. It's a strategy. And he can see things because of his experience and because of his position as leader. Because of his, when you have a certain level of responsibility, your eyes and ears and sensitivities are open to more things. So whatever he's aware of that's happening has made him know that the best strategy to deal with that thing is for him to resign in this particular place. Maybe to take focus or take attention off of the ASM. So what does it look like for somebody else who's going to resurrect the ASM?
That's right.
And another thing, I have to say this for the record, okay? Just for the record, for the public record. How is it that major media is addressing Imam W.D. Muhammad's successor, but yet when he was leader, by and large, wouldn't approach him for what his plans were for his people?
That's right.
For seeking out his successor. What does that tell you? That tells you that there's something behind the interest to have him sit down.
So we're not recruiting.
Well, I asked the question because, in reading the paper, there are so many centers that are, resigning, and they are, every week it's more and more and more. And so I guess my bigger question was, is it your intent for ASM to dissolve, or?
No, I really want them not to dissolve. I want them to bring their best leaders forward.
That's what we thought, really, man.
And do the right thing, right.
That's what we
And on their own, not in my name.
Yes.
So they can blame all the shortcomings on me, Yeah. So that still can happen. That still can happen. We're still hoping that will happen.
Be yourself. And say, well, who is my own self? And he gave the answer. He gave the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and gave us the answer.
Yes, he did.
And they talking about Imam Muhammad wanted the American society of Muslims to be destroyed and dissolved. When you hear his answer, you don't know he didn't want the American society of Muslims to be dissolved and be destroyed. You know the answer. What is my own self? A righteous Muslim. Wasn't that the answer? And what is the name of this community? American Society of Muslims. Is it not connected to the original history of Islam in America? Imam Muhammad don't waste words and play games. And he doesn't want weak-kneed, coward, students, and corrupt. He wants brothers and sisters that are sincere and loyal and dedicated and have principles that they stand upon and willing to take risks for what is right and what is good.
Yes.
And you brothers in business, you know the greater the risk, right? The greater the return.
Right now.
So we are a community that should not be afraid. We should not have leaders that are afraid to venture out into the world, into this vast world, for our sake and our progress. And say to our leader, I love you, Imam Muhammad.
Yes.
I love you. But from what I understand, from what you've given me, you don't want me to be shackled. You don't want me to be afraid to execute what I think and what I see based upon clear understanding from the Quran, the life of Muhammad, and your commentary. Let us not be cowards and afraid. And if somebody stands up upon principle, somehow they're going against the leader. They're going against what we are about. That is what the leader wants. Women, brothers and sisters, want us to stand up and not be sheep. Not be sheep. So my own self is a righteous Muslim. So he said. The American Society of Muslims is an outgrowth of a seed that was planted over 70 years ago. The American Society of Muslims is the outgrowth of a seed that was planted over 70 years ago. The American Society of Muslims represents that history of the original nation of Islam evolved, matured. And just as we did not walk away and abandon the original nation of Islam, but transformed it behind the leadership of Imam W.D. Muhammad, we will not abandon the American Society of Muslims. Rather, we will transform it and make it better, more appealing and attractive, so that others who are not a part of it now will feel more comfortable becoming a part of it or associating with it, as what happened when Imam Muhammad transformed the nation of Islam. We got a lot of people in the nation of Islam, but when Imam Muhammad transformed it, there are many here now and other places that became a part of this community as a result and after the transformation. We're going to get to more specific things on this, inshallah. The ASM is a continuation of that great history. Now, dear believers, I want this to be clear. Having shared the information that I have shared up to this point, I say publicly, as I've already said, without any hesitation, that I'm committed to leading in the reviving, renewing, and reorganizing of the American Society of Muslims. I haven't done or said anything about my intentions of the American Society of Muslims in secret. There's been 4 pages on the back of the Muslim Journal. Half page. And I'm saying it publicly. There's nothing underhanded or secret about it. It's wide open. But I'm not a fool. I'm not a fool. I know that I'm standing on solid ground. I'm willing to put my life on what I'm doing, that I'm standing on solid ground. I have no hesitation about what I'm doing as it relates to our leader, Imam Muhammad. That's right. I know where I stand. And I'm not quivering and shaking because I don't want this to be seen in arrogance. I'm just saying to you, I know where I stand with the position that I have on the American Society of Muslims. And I'm prepared to put my life and my family's life on the fact that I know for a fact Imam Muhammad did not want us to abandon the American Society of Muslims. He does not want to see it dissolved and decimated. I put my life on it. And there's not a man on this earth that can stand before you in his right mind and say that he knows that Imam Muhammad wanted the ASM to be destroyed and dissolved. That's right. They can tell you speculation. They can say it's an indication of law. Well, he said to me, and he said to us in the Ramadan session, that I'm not recruiting. He did not leave the American Society of Muslims and say, now come with me out of the American Society of Muslims to the mosque here. I'm prepared to work with other good leaders to correct problems and make the ASL better, as Imam Muhammad suggested, and hope will happen. There are other Muslims and believers around the country that I've talked to, and Imam Muhammad indicated to me strong believers that did not leave. They just didn't have the public notoriety, so to speak. They were not at the national level, as I am, and as I was. So when I did my retraction, it caught all of the attention because I was a national leader and people know me around the country. So it caught all of this attention. But there are others that we've heard from and that we know that are loyal and dedicated and committed to rebuilding, along with myself, the American Society of Muslims. So, dear believers, on October 31st, 2003, right here in Newark, I said to Imam Muhammad, Brother Imam, I submitted, I remind you, hesitantly, but I submitted a letter of resignation. He said, Mustafa, like I told brother so-and-so, I won't mention the brother's name, but he's in the South, I did not ask anyone to submit letters of resignation and to resign. I wanted, in the hope that they would have stayed, tried to correct it, and make it better. Now, I'm telling you what he told me, what I'm saying straight and open. But that's okay. After hearing that, I, as the type of person I am in my loyalty and dedication to him, I immediately said, as you would have said, I would have just said this immediately as you would have said. I said, oh, brother, I'm retracted. So he wasn't laughing, but I said, I'm retracted. And actually, that was our position anyway, not to do it. The brothers and sisters at Master Ibrahim would tell you that anyway. That was our position anyway. We may at the very least wait. So, you saw in the back of the paper, this big retraction. Imam Mustafa El-Amin rejoins the American Society of Muslim retraction withdraws his previous resignation. And all around the country, as you all know, what is he doing? What is going on here? He's going against the leader, etc., etc. Right? But I was following the leader. Leader said he didn't want us to abandon it. He didn't want us to dissolve. So if I saw that I did it, he said that's not what I wanted. I had no problem. Retraction. I don't care, all of them go. The whole crew, all of the imams, all of them go. He said he didn't want to happen. I'm going back in. And they all have left. So that's why I'm leaving Africa. And intend to keep leading. Not just for me, but not for me, for you all, for us, for our community, for our leader. Don't quit. Oh, now if it's clear. So now, but I want to present to you some clear-cut evidence so that you can decide what you want to do. So you can make a clear choice instead of upon emotionalism, which he said to us and we should have stuck to it. In 1975, this house is not built upon emotions. If the window is up and a storm or army of emotions comes against this house, it won't even wave in the curtains. Right. So how did all this mass resignation come? He told us of an evil and a bad element among us. I say to you, it was the bad element that floated that so that we could leave the American Society of Muslims. They floated that. And when I present to you this evidence, you're going to say, well, somebody did it, not the Imam. They gave us the impression that we were supposed to just leave it and let it go down, fall to pieces.
Well, I asked the question because, in reading the paper, there are so many centers that are, resigning, and they are, every week it's more and more and more. And so I guess my bigger question was, is it your intent for ASM to dissolve or?
No,
No, I really want them not to dissolve. I want them to bring their best leaders forward.
That's what we thought, brother, man.
And do the right thing, right.
That's what we
And
thought.
on their own, not in my name.
Yes.
So they can blame all the shortcomings on me, you know. Yeah. So that still can happen. That still can happen. We're still hoping that will happen.
So he says, still hope that could happen, and that's just what you see me doing, trying to make it happen.
Now, here are some quotes from this. On bad elements, bad imams. The brother asked him, he said, obviously, there are some imams whose performance you are not pleased with. So what is your message or advice to the good imams who support you? Let's move this away from Mustafa and let's hear what the imam says. Okay? So you want to be standing on solid ground when you make whatever choice you make. Answer. I would prefer to make a statement to the good imam regarding the element that is not like them. That element that refused to give me open and full support. They have a separate agenda and have always had a separate agenda. They were back in the time of my father. Nothing has changed. And they have pretended to be here supporting me before the general membership. They pretended to be in support of my father, and they were not. That element that was among the American Society of Muslims. We're leading a new effort, a new beginning, with the intent of locking them out, if possible.
Now that was December 21st, 2003. And so now the New York Times was there, Star Ledger, other papers was there. And so now they covered this story here, this New York Times, which I showed you. But so they covered that story, and it went all around the country for sure. Okay. So now, you see the significance of what this article here was referring to. Now, I just want to go over something that we said before concerning convention, and I read it to you before in the Imam's interview, in this interview with Nathaniel Omar, right? I just want to go over it real quickly again, okay? That he said it could be 2 conventions, and then you'll hear me speak on it. Then we'll share what I got from Detroit from my good brother Imam Earl Abdul Malik Muhammad, who was the representative of Imam Muhammad. Okay, right. This is the interview again. Imam Muhammad say, I foresee there being 2 conventions, their convention and our convention, the ASM, as I am willing to work with ISNA and the Islamic Circle of North America and all good organizations here in Chicago area. I'm also willing to work with the good imams of the ASM. They are invited to discuss how we can interact and maybe have as our guests in some of our workshops, some of their people in business, and they will have some of us in their workshops. Maybe there's no problem. And that's what he said. If I wanted to have it with the Pakistanians and others, okay, so it's cut off here, but I had the original paper, so I'll play that and then wrap that up, okay?
I'm not going to tell them. They're going to ask me, say, well, who's going to... I say, ain't no successor to Imam El-Amin Muhammad. Well, who's going to lead the ASM? He's leading the ASM. No matter what his name is. Well, he said he resigned. Yeah. He said that he resigned from responsibility to lead people who did not want to appreciate or respect what he's all about. But the people who do appreciate and respect what he's all about, he's still their leader. And that's the great majority. So you just talking about a few renegades? Yeah. And you want to say that that few renegades is there? Yeah, fine. They can have that name. See how long it survives. See how many people attend their convention. That be them and their families. And one of the children from the family will question, how come we ain't see that? I'm telling you, among their own children will be one of the two will say, wait a minute, at the convention last year, the man was speaking. How come he ain't speaking at this convention? They won't understand all the discussion and all the confusion in the air. All they want to see is identify as their leader.
That's right.
Little 3 or 4 or 5-year-olds.
That's right.
Yeah. Praise be God.
Now, Imam El-Amin Muhammad's advice to good imams from this Muslim Journal interview. Those imams, listen carefully, please. Those imams who are with me and really support me, see Imam Muhammad told, if you are going to stay with the American Society of Muslims, I will be happy to see that. Come. For they should want the ASM to be better. Period. Now, I know many of you have this paper. You may just put it to the side so you can go read this. Okay? Are we? On the Muslim Journal and the bad elements in the good Imam. Imam Muhammad, he said, the Imam says, do you think this element will promote the sale of Muslim Journal? I said, no. And by the way, I want to be on record for promoting Muslim Journal. Please, let us buy and support Muslim Journal. Let us increase the circulation of Muslim Journal, our newspaper. Let us do it in hours. Let us work to improve that. But let us work to increase the circulation of our newspaper. Imam Muhammad said that element won't do it. Why won't they do it? He said, why? Because Muslim Journal also brings all of these messages to them, right? It brings me and others to them. And listen to the charge to us imams. We consider ourselves good imams. He says, so the good leaders in the American Society of Muslims should really take up the slack. He said, brother, they should take up the slack and do for their members what these people won't do, who won't let people be free for God. I hope that the ASM leadership will identify, first of all, a new spokesperson for the ASM, whether they call him their leader or an imam or not. They should have a national spokesperson or representative. If they don't, then I don't know where they can go. Now, this did not happen. For 3 months, this did not happen. So now that I have stepped forward, they ask, what is Mustafa doing? He wants to be my job. What's wrong with that, bro? I knew it. I ain't seen on the paper too much. I knew there was something with that, bro. If the mom didn't do it, what make him think he can do it? Well, he said the first thing you gotta do is identify a leader. He didn't identify one. So I'm stepping forward. Who made him the leader? Oh, we ain't even sure we got both of them. You ain't the leader of stuff. What body? Where's the group that have to do the voting? You all left. Hey, I know what I'm standing on, brother. I'm not out here. Y'all know we got a little match here on Chef Avenue. You know I'm not out here. So yeah, we step forward and we going all the way. We going all the way. And this is as natural as the sun rising from the east every day. Now there are folks, those who got that lie started is from that bad element. Because they know if one of the good imams like myself, one of the good imams or like myself or others, became the leader, become the leader, they know they will be shut out. That's the bottom line. That's why you hear all this, oh, he's going to get busted. Mom is going to get him. Oh, let me go down, make sure I be at the public address in Chicago this month. The staff is going, oh, the mom is going to get him. I know it's coming. Those who spread the lie, they know that Imam Muhammad, as he said in the interview here in Newark, on Al-Islam in America and Community Life, he was asked, what will be your relationship with the new leader of the American Society of Muslims? He said, well, I can't tell you that. Depending on who they pick for the leader. He said, I know all of them. And I got a witness sitting here who know that was on the other side of the American Community Life, because he taped it. So if they picked somebody that he didn't want, he would have no relationship with him. If it's a good person, and I'm telling you all, Imam Muhammad and I have an excellent relationship. We're just about finished. Imam Muhammad, he says in the same issue, once the ASM established this kind of leadership, and he said, as a certain brother said, I won't say it, he say, it may not be an individual, but at least a body, a council that will represent them and the members of the ASM. If they establish that, I would like to see them having their own convention. That we can have our own convention. He would like to see the ASM having our own convention. Naturally, we wouldn't have it the same time that the Mosques is having theirs during a Labor Day weekend. But the ASM, we intend to have our own convention. And if 50 people show up for the first one, we had our own convention. And if next year, 100 people show up, we had our own convention. So we intend to have our own convention. And of course, I propose that the first convention be held here in Newark. Why not? Why not? I know what they say. They say, as the Bible says, can any good come out of Nazareth? That's what they say about it. And them boys, they rough down there too. I don't know about that. We know they good for security and all that kind of things. But I don't know about all that intellectual stuff. This is what Islam will do for you. You can talk serious matters and then relax and have. That's Islam. That's Islam. That's our religion. That's the sober-minded teaching and commentary that we've gotten from Imam Muhammad. And we're not all rigid and crazy and extremists. We thank Allah. We thank Allah for making us Muslims. And we only recognize, first of all, Allah the Most High. Allah the Most High. And this is his revelation. And we recognize and accept and follow thoroughly Muhammad the Prophet, may the prayers and peace be upon him. And Imam Muhammad, his commentary, his sober message, it is rooted and based in the Quran and in the Uswa, the life example of Muhammad the Prophet. And if we Imams don't learn and know the religion, the Quran, the life of Muhammad the Prophet, you can't even do real justice to the commentary about Muhammad. Because you were presented with no support, with no evidence, and you just embarrass him and embarrass us. So in this new ASM, we will have a criteria Well, boy, you just don't think it if you can't get with that. That's no problem. Form your own organization. Our life, our family, our babies, our future's at stake. This is nothing to play with. This religion is no joke. Islam is no joke. You don't embrace this and play games with people and with our religion. This is our religion. This is our life. Let's pray to Almighty God to make us better Muslims, better people, better believers, to learn more and have better leaders so we can have greater growth, economic growth, educational growth. So, Imam Muhammad, he said, I see there being two conventions. Their convention, the American Society of Muslim Convention, and our convention, the Mosque. He says, listen carefully. As I am willing to work with ISNA, Islamic Society of North America, and Islamic Circle of North America, and all good organizations here in Chicago area, I am also willing to work with the good imams of the ASL. That's right. Is that not clear? I people can say what they want. Is that not clear? Those imams words that I'm willing to work with the good imams in the ASL. But it's so beautiful when you know people got your back. Right? Yeah, that's right. He said, they, ASM imams and people, they are invited to discuss how we can interact and maybe have as our guests in some of our workshops, some of their people in business, and they will have some of us in their workshops maybe. There's no problem with that. Having the ASM in the mosque. You can be the ASM. That has nothing to do with your loyalty, commitment, and support of Imam Muhammad or lack thereof. And then he says this, if I want that with Palestinians and others, you know I want that with African Americans. So in my conclusion,
not to wrap it up, went longer than I expected, but so as not to seem like I'm taking anything out of context that Imam Earl Abdul Malik has said. Now I'm going to play his whole comments concerning the ASM, just the whole thing. I think it's about 7-8 minutes. Okay, his whole speech is hours. That's not what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on concerning the ASM, and I'll just play his whole comments so it won't look like I was chopping it up to fit in any spots at all. We were doing that for a particular purpose as it relates to what I said and what he said and what the Imam said. But now we'll just play the whole thing and wrap it up, okay, with some other reason as to why someone would send me the video of that.
Don't think, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to emphasize this. Don't think for one moment that the way to appreciate or understand Imam Muhammad's resignation is that he stopped being leader. Don't let anyone suggest that to you. Right. You know that's not the case. Those of you who know something about this community and know him. He's a man that this is a man who describes himself as being born for the mission. How can he drop the mission? How can he retire from the mission? What suggests that to us? What is suggesting that into our mind? The devil himself. The devil, the shaitan, is suggesting that into our ears, into our mind. And many of us will pick it up and think, well, he resigned. He's not the leader anymore. What are we going to do? And be, unconsciously supporting things that you wouldn't normally support.
That's right.
And that's what the shaitan does, right? He invites you. He invites you from a hidden place, according to the scripture. And sometimes the invitation will seem, it'll be designed to appeal to something deep inside you. But if you align with what you're supposed to be aligned with, that's all it is. It's an invitation for you to turn away from, for you to reject. So as I said before, that you need to understand, you need to be clear on the fact that the Imam's resignation is to be understood as a strategy. It's a strategy. And he can see things because of his experience and because of his position as leader. Because of his, when you have a certain level of responsibility, your eyes and ears and sensitivities are open to more things. So whatever he's aware of that's happening has made him know that the best strategy to deal with that thing is for him to reside in this particular place. Maybe to take focus or take attention off of the ASM. So what does it look like for somebody else who's going to resurrect the ASM? And another thing, I have to say this for the record, okay? Just for the record, for the public record. How is it that major media is addressing Imam W.D. Muhammad's successor, but yet when he was leader, by and large, wouldn't approach him for what his plans were for his people? For seeking out his successor. What does that tell you? That tells you that there's something behind the interest to have him sit down. Think about it. Just reflect on it. And I'm not saying the media is the devil, but the devil uses whatever that is for. Whatever is willing to be used. And sometimes tricked into being used. I know for certain. I have spoken to reporters on this issue. I've spoken to them. And I know that they have a leaning when they ask me certain questions. They already have a conclusion. They just want a statement from me that's going to support their conclusion. They don't want to hear what my conclusion is. They already have a conclusion. Somebody else gave them. That's the conclusion. So the conclusion I'm giving them is in conflict, so then they say, oh, okay, I see. You ain't the one to talk to. Let me go talk to somebody else who's going to give me what I want to serve this conclusion. Because I'm not going to tell them. They're going to ask me, say, well, who's going to... I say, ain't no successor to Imam W. Muhammad. Well, who's going to lead the ASM? He's leading the ASM. No matter what his name is. Well, he said he resigned. Yeah. He said that he resigned from responsibility to lead people who did not want to appreciate or respect what he's all about. But the people who do appreciate and respect what he's all about, he's still their leader. And that's the great majority. So you're just talking about a few renegades? And you want to say that few renegades is the ASM? Fine. They can have that name. See how long it survives. See how many people attend their conventions. It'd be them and their families. And one of the children from the family will question, how come we ain't see that? I'm telling you, among their own children will be one of the two will say, wait a minute, at the convention last year, the man was speaking. How come he ain't speaking at this convention? They won't understand all the discussion and all the confusion in the air. All they want to see is identify as their leader.
That's right.
Little 3 or 4 or 5-year-olds.
That's right.
Yeah. Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Conclusion, finishing this up. February 22nd, Imam W.D. Muhammad will speak at the Kobo Hall or at Kobo Center.
Now, as I said before, this was in Detroit, and this was sent to me. You can see this was January 18, 2004. So he's making these comments after I did the presentation on December 21st there in Newark, the ASM, A New Beginning. So now this is a little less than a month after I said what I said, and so this is how uh, his perception or whatever. Uh, um, it didn't bother me whatsoever because I was just going to stay focused on what I was going to do and what the Imam had expressed to me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, we kept going then and we keep going now. And I don't hold anything against anyone, especially at this point. But we'll share a few other things why, I had a strong bond. It's like a home away from home in a certain way in Detroit. And for those who knew me and respected me and what we was doing, they didn't really like that, but they wasn't going to say anything, so they sent it to me and also to Imam Muhammad. And to be honest about it, I thought we was on the same page in terms of standing up for Imam Muhammad and condemning those that was working against him. But I had to keep doing what I had to do, and I guess he had to keep doing what he had to do. But just a little something else that happened in 2004 after showing why the response from Detroit was to keep me informed of what had just happened. This is in Detroit, so as early as 1988, I'm invited to Detroit. So you can see this is October 29, 1988. Mustafa El-Amin, you see Muslim Mason Dialogue. This is at the Islamic Center there, Brother Harold and them, as early as 1988 with.
Again real soon, Brother Mustafa, praise Allah, that he'll be back again real soon, Brother Mustafa El-Amin. Assalamu alaikum.
And we know how significant Detroit is in our history. That's where it all started. Temple number 1 there. Elijah lived there. Imam Muhammad was born in Hamtramck, Michigan, in that area. The first temple in terms of our history, the importance of Detroit. So it was very good and significant, and I always appreciated going there, and they appreciated me. Alhamdulillah. So I'm just showing that this was Detroit. You'll hear me.
Greet you, brothers, sisters here of Detroit, and greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to thank you for extending to me an invitation to come here, share with you some of the information that I've come into. Wonderful people here, Detroit, Michigan, to Imam Berg, to Imam Shahid Muhammad.
So I'm here again in Detroit in 1990.
Very diligently on the committee to sponsor this program and the committee to keep to all of you wonderful people here, Detroit, Michigan, to Imam Berg, to Imam Shahid Muhammad and his wife, and all of you who work very diligently on the committee to sponsor this program and the committee to keep the propagation efforts of Imam al-Din Muhammad on the radio, and to all of you good people, friends and visitors, I greet you in distinguished greetings of peace of Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure and an honor to me to be here once again in Detroit.
And this was in the Muslim Journal. I'm just emphasizing, you see, Detroit thrives on October 6, 1990. Detroit, Imam Muhammad radio broadcast. What I'm just trying to show is my relationship with Detroit. And so when later Imam Abdul Malik comes in later years and, he's going there on behalf of the Imam and the community, but when he says that, the people that know me, of course, will inform me, etc. So I say those persons honored at the first affair, where he said the keynote speaker of the day was Brother Mustafa El-Amin. And so this is 1990. My first was 80, then 90, and I was given an award here. You can see what it says here. I don't know how. Yeah, here it is. Imam Tawheed D. Muhammad presents keynote speaker Imam Mustafa El-Amin with one of the surprise recognition day certifications. Imam El-Amin was honored and very much surprised. Okay, so this is my relationship in Detroit, and so why they would send me that, and knowing my good history of working for the Imam, etc. Now you have seen this paper here. So now in 1992, back in Detroit again, and you see this paper here. I'm invited to be the keynote speaker there. I was hoping Imam Muhammad was going to be there, but he couldn't make it, so I was selected to be the keynote speaker May 17, 1992. So you see 88, 90, 91, now 92, I'm the keynote speaker, and this is in Detroit. And you see why I'm here. Detroit Deputy Mayor is there, and I'm here as the keynote speaker. Now at this program, at the end, Imam Earl Abdul Malik, he came there on behalf of Imam Muhammad and receives, I think, some gifts or whatever. So we were there together in 92. And like I say, we had a good relationship for quite a while. But, at some point, things changed. Okay, so I'm honored to be a keynote speaker here and to share this here on the page here with giants, Imam Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, Imam Muhammad, Malcolm, pioneers, and so here I'm there because I was the keynote speaker. And here you can see that, thanks to Allah, as our editor, Muslim Journal, was able to give tribute, she spoke, and the keynote address was given by Brother Mustafa El-Amin. And here you can see, say, on behalf of Imam W.D. Muhammad, Brother Abdul Malik Muhammad expressed the Imam's desire to return to Detroit to be with the Muslims there. He was unable to attend the tribute due to extended meetings with visiting dignitaries from the African country, et cetera, et cetera. So we were there together at that program as well.
What is the Difference? Published in 1990. His works have been received internationally in such places as Ghana, Japan, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, London, England, and Kenya. Mustafa has devoted the last 17 years to the study of Islam and Freemasonry. He has given several lectures on each subject. His works have led to positive dialogue between Muslims and Masons. In 1989, he addressed the Imperial Protonate and executive leadership of the Prince Hall Shriners. Mustafa has also given several presentations on Prophet Abraham. In 1989, he spoke at the International Sirah Conference sponsored by the Muslim World League. His topic was Prophet Abraham and the Sirah of Prophet Muhammad. He has spoken at several colleges and universities. And Brother El-Amin is a true friend and true believer in the religion of Islam. Whenever we ask him to help us out, without hesitation, he's always eager, he's always ready to lend a hand to help. And that's the spirit of the Muslim, the spirit of the Muslim believer. And he's my brother in the religion, and he's also a very, very close friend. So at this time, We'd like to bring him up. Imam, I call him Professor Mustafa El-Amin.
Keynote speaker in Detroit.
Takbir.
This tribute to Imam Muhammad and
Takbir.
Elijah Muhammad. (1992).
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ashhadu la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu rasuluhu. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, the one and only. And I bear witness that Prophet Muhammad Ibn Abdullah is his servant and his messenger, the seal of the prophets and messengers, a common, mortal human being like ourselves. To Brother Tawheed Muhammad and his wife, Sister Miriam Muhammad, and to the broadcast committee, members of the broadcast committee, to our honorable dais, to you, our honorable audience, our courageous, noble pioneers, I extend the greetings of peace of Assalamu alaikum. I am thankful to Almighty Allah, the Creator of the heavens and the earth, for this responsibility and opportunity of sharing with you some comments which inshallah will be helpful to us all. I am indeed weighted with honor in being able to participate in such a great occasion, to honor two great giants in our history and in the history of America. If we look at those two great giants, the late Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his son Imam Wafiddin Muhammad, if we really look at it and understand that in light of our religion and in nature, we will see that we are indeed blessed and that we have had a natural experience. We have had a natural experience, the experience under the leadership of the late Honorable Elijah Muhammad served as an excellent foundation for what was to come in Imam Wafiddin Muhammad. Before I get into my presentation, I'd like to do something which may be a little unorthodox, but nevertheless I believe appropriate because of the occasion. And that is, I'd like to maybe step back a pace or so and salute our pioneers. Alhamdulillah. You know, in the old days, we, as brothers, if I remember correctly, we didn't salute the sisters, but if you can pardon me, that is for you also, sisters, sister pioneers. Before I became a member of the Nation of Islam, my name was Robert King. When I joined the Nation of Islam in Newark, the temple there in Newark, I became Robert 105X. I was the 105th Robert to join the temple there in Newark. There was 104 more before me, and there's a few more that came after. When we came into the Nation of Islam under the leadership of the late Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I, like those of you who came in, received instructions called general orders, and perhaps some verbal instructions. And we were instructed to salute our officials, to salute the national, which was the Star and Crescent, our flag, as long as it was not encased. That is, as long as it was not in a frame. We also had to salute one another when we would leave each other from posts. That is something that we had to do. Brothers and sisters, today this tribute that is being given, this salute that is being given to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and to his son Imam Wafiddin Muhammad,
emphasizing this is Detroit.
This salute is being given because we want to. There's a big difference in doing something because you want to rather than because you have to. Doing good because you want to reflects the excellent nature, the good nature of the human being. It says, as we are taught and believe in our religion, that man is not originally sinful and that left alone he will not do sin, but he will do good. So doing something good, as this tribute and other things, because we want to, is a clear reflection and indication of the excellent nature that Allah has given to the human being. Further evidence of that is that our Prophet Muhammad, the universal messenger and seal of the prophets, now as we stand here to pay tribute to Imam Wafiddin Muhammad, his great works and the works of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I would like to do something that I want to do. And that is simply this. After reading some of the history of the Prophet Muhammad in our religion, and reading that some of his companions, the upright companions of the Prophet, would periodically, occasionally, go to the Prophet of their own free will and accord and reaffirm their loyalty and their dedication to the Prophet. Without the Prophet's request, without the Prophet's requirement, they would periodically go to the Prophet as men and believers, put their hand in his hand, and reaffirm their loyalty and their dedication to the Prophet. I would like to, and perhaps we others can do it at some point, I would like to, in front of you all, reaffirm my loyalty, my support, and my dedication to Imam Wafiddin Muhammad and his leadership. And I know there's many other believers out there who pledge the same, and who do not and will not flinch, blink, yield, or back up one step in their loyalty and dedication to Imam Wafiddin Muhammad and his leadership. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There's not a relationship on this earth that does not require loyalty. Not one that does not require loyalty. Now, we know that
Now, in 2002, I was presented in Detroit, Imam Mustafa El-Amin, I was presented in recognition of your dedication and outstanding service. And this Ministry of W.D. Muhammad, Detroit, Michigan, I was the keynote speaker there, and I was presented with this here Detroit Committee for the publishing of Imam W.D. Muhammad office and voice in the Detroit area. We present the Brother Harold Dawood Muhammad Lifetime Community Service Award to Imam Mustafa El-Amin in recognition of his dedication and outstanding committee. So that's 2002 now, right? 1 year before, 2003, when the Imam resigns, and all these other things came about. So I know I'm taking much more time than I planned, but so now you see my connection, my relationship in Detroit over the years, and so now when something is happening there, it seems like something is I don't know, someone is speaking against what I'm trying to do, etc. Or out of their love and appreciation, they wanted to keep me informed. And so I just want to let you know, brothers and sisters, that's how with what I was doing. I was sent the video of Imam Earl Abdul Malik and his comments that he made about the ASM in the middle of the efforts that I was trying to do and reorganizing, etc. No hard feelings, though. I went back to this 92, so I'm sure he wouldn't mind to show that Imam Earl Abdul Malik was there on behalf of Imam W.D. Muhammad. It's him right here at this tribute to Imam Muhammad. And we spoke for sure. See, that's us behind the brother.
Would you like to show it to the audience, please? This brother and his
Muhammad.
wife specialize in crowns, as you know, and they wanted to send the chief a crown. So Brother Abdul Salam's wife made this crown. She's over here, Sister Carol Ann Muhammad. She made this crown, so you might want to go back in the back and see what she's doing. And thank you again, Imam Malik. Brother Darnell, it's very rare that you're in the city, so would you please come and do a dua for us to leave by? We're going to have Imam Darnell Kareem to lead us out in prayer. Thank you again for coming.
This brother's been busy. It's taken me 6 months to write one page. We are really blessed to have him with us today. This brother has been making a contribution. All of Mustafa's books are registered with the Library of Congress,
Detroit.
and I believe that he only scratched the surface on what he's going to do. All of Mustafa's books are registered with the Library of Congress and are listed in books in print. He has given many lectures at college, university, as well as other programs sponsored by Muslims and non-Muslims. And I'm happy to say that early in his career, he'd been to Saginaw, early. Before several publishers of these books, he was in Saginaw already. And he and our Imam are very close. Imam speaks highly of him. He performed Hajj in 1992. Imam Mustafa El-Amin is a loyal and dedicated follower and supporter of Imam W.D. Muhammad and the Muslim American Society. His works are international. In 2001, he was selected to be the focus of a documentary on African American Muslims in the wake of September 11th for the Dutch people of Holland, Europe. Brothers and sisters, it is with great honor that I welcome one from among us who has been making contributions to spread the religion of Islam. It is with great honor that I introduce to you Imam Mustafa El-Amin.
Yeah, this is in Detroit.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. I bear witness there's but one God, Allah, who we call Allah. He is called in the Quran. And I bear witness that Muhammad, who was born in Mecca and died in Medina, is the seal of the prophets. To Sister Miriam T. Muhammad and all the members of the Detroit Committee for the Publishing of Imam W.D. Muhammad's office and voice in the Detroit area, to our honorable friends, Muslims and believers, I greet you, Assalamu alaikum. I am deeply honored and thankful for the opportunity to be here in Detroit once again. It's been quite a while since I've been here as a speaker, but I'm thankful for the opportunity and the responsibility of sharing some comments with you, which inshallah will be helpful to us all. Detroit has been mentioned as a very special place in the history of Islam in America. As we know, Mr. W.D. Farad came here teaching the doctrine of the lost found nation of Islam in the West. And as he was teaching in and around here in Detroit, a doctrine which was sort of strange,
So I think I've shown enough of my connection to Detroit, but I wanted to do that to really stress why I would have been sent and kept informed if from Earl Abdul Malik's comments concerning the ASM, which seemed to have been applying to me, renegade, etc. So we have a strong bond for a long time. So moving along now. So this is Detroit. So that was what we played of Imam Earl Abdul Malik. That was January 18th, 2004. So now we're just going to move on into a few things that did that and then close out. So what happens after that in 2004? After his comments. So now as you see, this was 2004. Okay, now what happens in 2004? 2004, you see April 2004, interview with Imam Mustafa El-Amin. Now this is done in Atlanta. I'm there and I was able to attend with low controversy the southern section of Imams. They had a meeting there, and then from there I spoke at Masjid Mu'minun there in Atlanta, and then I was interviewed here in Atlanta by Brother Sabir K. Muhammad Sr. Okay.
All of us would listen with an open ear. We are very eager to have guest speakers at our masjid. This masjid is called Al-Mu'minun. This is the masjid for believers. As long as you're a believer, you're welcome here. And more than anything, Imam Mustafa El-Amin is a strong supporter of Imam W.D. Muhammad. And this is very important that you know this. And he haven't just started being a supporter of Imam W.D. Muhammad. At this time, we want to bring our brother and your brother, our friend and your friend, Brother Imam Mustafa El-Amin.
So I went there and I spoke about the efforts with the ASM as we did earlier at the Imams meeting.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Dear brothers and sisters, I greet you, Assalamu alaikum. I'm thankful to Almighty Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, for allowing me the opportunity to be able to come here to Atlanta, to be among brothers and sisters and friends. We thank Imam Furqan and the others that have worked to make this possible. We, above all, again, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for blessing us to be a part of this community. On yesterday, we were at the Atlanta Masjid of Al-Islam. I asked if I could make some comments at an imam's meeting there concerning the reorganization of the American Society of Muslims, and it was granted. And it was a good meeting. It was a productive meeting. It was comfortable. I was greeted warmly, and we were among brothers and among friends. The convener, Imam Hanif, and the resident Imam, Imam Clement Tawheed, El-Amin. We all know each other anyway. We're all imams from going to hear our leader, Imam Muhammad, in the Ramadan sessions and all. So it was very productive and received very warmly. And we're able to make some comments, and we thank Allah for that. And we are thankful immensely, again, for being invited here to Masjid El-Mu'minun, the Masjid of Believers. And I'm so happy and honored to see so many faces that I know from traveling around for years, and just the warm smiles and the brotherly greetings. I have family here in Atlanta and in Georgia, a family from Savannah, Georgia, and Sylvania, and other parts of Georgia. And so I do feel at home here and very comfortable. You know, we're out of the north, from up north, from Newark, New Jersey. And so we're here, and the time is flying by. So we want to, inshallah, we want to try to have a topic, and we hope to, in fact, make some comments on the American Society of Muslims, the reorganization efforts. We've chosen for a topic our great mission. Our great mission.
So we want to show the interview, read some of the questions and answers, and then wrap it up. But I want to show from 2004, as I say, Imam Earl Abdul Malik, he was doing what he felt was right. I don't know, but it didn't stop anything. It didn't stop me at all. In fact, because I knew what the Imam had said to me, and that's 20 years later, 20 years ago. So I'm going to read something here, some of the questions here, okay, and my answers, and then move on from there, okay. Here they say, okay, so this is what the brother who interviewed me, he's saying, Imam Mustafa El-Amin, a career educator, has become well known with the community for his tapes, lectures, through frequent ads in the Muslim Journal. He exhumed warm, friendly persona at our introduction and appeared, for all intents and purposes, oblivious to any controversy caused by the ad or any distractions of his quest to reestablish ASM. So here's the question. Well, he questioned me about the meeting, and I said, it was very, very warm. He said, Assalamu alaikum, how was your reception at the Imam's meeting? And I said, very, very warm, very warm. It was comfortable. It was brotherly. I've been in the community for 30 years, and I travel all over and to the Ramadan session, so I know all the brothers. Even though I'm a long ways from home, I still felt at home. So here it said, did any of the imams have any concerns that they expressed as far as your quest on what you're on now? I said, well, we were given the opportunity to make about 20-minute presentation on the efforts, the reason for the effort, and we shared with them a package with the mission statement that we had worked on at a previous meeting in Newark, New Jersey. Here, from our brother Sabir, he says to me, do you feel that you were divinely inspired to take on this quest? My answer, in no way did I feel divinely inspired. Well, what was your inspiration to continue this? He said, my inspiration was to help Imam W.D. Muhammad and to help this community. I had submitted a resignation to Imam Muhammad through the Muslim Journal a week or so before he came to Newark for a tribute we gave him. While we were having dinner, I mentioned to him, Brother Imam, I submitted a resignation. He said, like I told Imam Furqan here in Georgia, I didn't ask anyone to submit a letter of resignation. So that's what inspired me. So my immediate response was, that's what I thought, Brother Imam, and at Masjid Ibrahim, we were saying the same thing. So I'll retract it. It was just that immediate, but also just that innocent too. And that I had done something that my leader didn't want me to do. So that's what motivated me. I said, I'll retract it. It's just a matter of how to retract it. So the Imam said something to the effect, well, the same way you did the resignation, you can do the retraction. Now here's the next question. What did you think of the little note Imam Muhammad put in the paper? He said, thanking those imams who had resigned. And my answer, with all the letters of resignation, there were comments of support. So the way I read it was he was thanking them for their concern, their expressions of support and continuous support. I didn't take that as him thanking them for the resignation. Question, do you see any precedents that you can draw any parallel from history in Islam, especially in our community? Answer, I just want to be careful because I don't want to give any impression that I'm bigger or more important than I am. Just to the extent that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and before him Prophet Muhammad had followers who were loyal and courageous and sincere and committed to carrying the vision and mission forward even beyond the present time. So I see myself as one of those type. Then he questioned, do you see any similarities between what happened in our community when Imam W.D. Muhammad left the Nation of Islam and Minister Farrakhan restarted it and what you're doing? Compare me to Farrakhan, okay. I say, I didn't, but I know others do. See a comparison. I know that others have expressed that. The reason I say I don't is because my motivation is for one to help and is motivated by my understanding of that is what Imam Muhammad would have liked done. So as opposed to me just doing it because I think it should have been done. If Imam Muhammad were to indicate in any way that he didn't want this done, I would stop. And here's the brother questioning again. He say, as you may recall, Minister Farrakhan went out there, and Imam Muhammad never indicated any desire for him to stop. I don't know, this is almost 2 hours. I don't know if it's going to all post. So my answer is Farrakhan was more of a split to say, he say, I'm leaving you to go back. That's what Farrakhan said. I'm leaving you to go back and do whatever. I don't see this as a split in any way. Okay. He said, say you're successful in restarting the ASM. How do you see the ASM coexisting with the mosques of Imam W.D. Muhammad? For example, do you foresee Imam Muhammad returning to the ASM if it should get strong enough? I said, our purpose in reorganizing is to bring it more in line so that we will be able to give greater support to the mosques. It would have no existence as far as I am concerned if its purpose was not to support the plans and initiatives of Imam Muhammad. The reason I say that is because Imam Muhammad said that the leadership of the ASM was not giving him full and open support and that they were working against him. And he said one way to make it better is for the good imams to know there's a bad element among them and to avoid that element, and for the good imams to only work together with those like minds. Question: do you feel you are able to discern the good imams? If you wanted to deal with some kind of analogy from the past, as this question takes my mind, there, and that is because so many of them resign, both the good and the bad. It allows us in reorganizing to pick and choose. It's not like we've inherited them and someone becomes the leader and they have to deal with that element. As far as I know, the majority of that element has resigned. Let's make this clear. I'm a student of Imam Muhammad. Now, in reference to your question about the good imams and the bad imams, I think the more this information gets out, the greater the possibility that some will consider coming back in themselves. Next question. Where do you sense your greatest support? I would say with the people. I get a lot of response from the people, even though I know there are a lot of misconceptions among the people. Then the question, do you see a broad range of support? My answer, yes. I get emails, phone calls, especially among people, especially among the people. It seems like it has been 30 years, even though it's only been 3 months, because of the magnitude of it. Excuse me for reading the way I am. I'm trying to get through this, brothers and sisters. I haven't had a chance to travel as much as we intended. We had an imams meeting in Newark, and though there were only about 10 imams able to make it, we received letters and calls from others who identified themselves as in the ASM. So it appears to me that it is scattered through the country. So that's 2004 interview. So that was 2004, and now 2004, this is what happens. After we know January, we shared what Imam Earl Abdul Malik had said concerning the ASM, and I guess call me renegade or whatever that was all about. But like I say, 20 years ago. But this is really sharing the history. And then there we're in Atlanta. That interview was April 2004. And now here it closed out, this part that I'm going to close with, May 17, 2004, May 16, 2004. Here's what you have. Newark Imam takes podium in absence of national leader. Okay, now, just to say this here, in following the Imam, I didn't just follow his teachings in terms of his commentary, but I watched the way he did things. And so, when he became the leader of the Nation of Islam, he might have kept that for about a year. And then what did he do? he changed the name from Nation of Islam to World Community of Islam in the West, etc., right? And the body of Christ and all of that. So that's what I did. After a while, I sent the signal to the Imam. I didn't call him and say, hey, I'm going to change it to the Abrahamic Society of Muslim. He saw it just like everybody else. And that's what I knew, that's how we had to go, with something bigger. American Society of Muslims, that's America as a country. Abrahamic Society of Muslims, that's straight from Quran. Abraham was a community. So after we did what we had to do in several ways, ran interference, but also set up something as an umbrella in case we decide we want to have a name. I mean, we say we're the Association of Imam Muhammad, but in case we wanted a name and show growth, American Society of Muslims, that's one thing. Abrahamic Society of Muslims, straight from Quran. Surely Ibrahim was a community obedient to Allah, upright by nature, and he did not associate any partners with Allah. I mean, that's beautiful. Muslim, Christian, Jews, Abrahamic faith. Every year, Eid al-Adha, we turn towards the Kaaba built by Ibrahim. Muhammad the Prophet has said, this is after the Millah of Ibrahim, alayhi salam. We close out the prayer, oh Allah, make Muhammad successful as you did make Abraham successful. And not only that, I was on my foundation. I wrote a book in '88, Masjid Ibrahim, etc. So, brothers and sisters, I don't know if any of you are going to sit through and watch all of this. It's about 2 hours, but at least I'm putting this information out, and I'm hoping that it'll be helpful in some way. And one message that I'm definitely trying to send is that whatever issues we may have had over time, it's 20 years later, and our brother, those good brothers that support Imam Earl Abdul Malik, who say that he's the successor, I wish them well. As long as you got good intentions and you're trying to help the community. And part of me even doing this is to show, listen, man, I can tell you some story. He wasn't quite nice to me. Now, whatever his legal issue is, that's something different. But and however he account for that, et cetera, and in the community, et cetera. But I wanted to show, and I could tell more things that happened between him and I, but I don't hold that. We got to move forward as a community, and you got good, sincere people all over. But I always encourage people not to let the criticism of criticizers stop them from doing anything. There was talk about what I was doing, and whatever. But as far as I know, he was the most vocal, the most public in doing that. But that's okay. That's okay. Inshallah, he'll overcome whatever shortcomings he have, just as anybody else will. And for those good, sincere people that's trying to help our community, that's the most important thing. Most important thing for me. So, I just didn't want it to just seem only like I'm saying something negative. No, the ideal is to show that I knew him. We knew each other. In fact, when he first came on, he reached out. When Imam first brought him on in the 90s, he reached out to me, and we had a relationship for a while. And this is not just about him. I don't want that. I'm trying to send a message for us in our dealings with each other, that you can have issues with each other, but you try to look at the bigger picture, and you get with people of like minds. I'm not saying if somebody think they're the successor to the Imam, that's up to them, and let time prove that. And you've heard me say before, I believe in leadership, but I believe in new leadership, independent leadership, as that's how the Imam kept me. I never worked for him directly, but I continued to do what I could do, and he appreciated the help and support that I gave, and he always let me know if he ever had a problem with me, he would let me know. He knew how to get in touch with me, and he never and never had to call me about anything that I had done that wasn't right, and he knew I was sincere. And more importantly, Allah knew I was sincere. As Allah know you are sincere, know our hearts, our minds, and the thoughts, and matters are judged by intention. And so after all is said and done, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and trying to be a good, decent, honorable person.
Of my life and appreciation of your courageous leadership, your sincerity and great sacrifice. I would like to present to you something that I know you already have, but as you know, it's the greatest gift that any Muslim can give to anyone, and that is the copy of the Holy Quran.
Now, right here, I want you all to know, I'm whispering to the Imam right here that I'm whispering to him that his assistant, Earl Abdul Malik, is trying to get in touch with him. Let me share something here. I don't know if we're going to be able to watch all of this 2 hours, but here, after I gave him that Quran, I'm whispering in his ear that his assistant at the time, Earl Abdul Malik, who had, this was 1994, and he was in Washington or Maryland at a African American leadership conference or something, representing Imam Muhammad, and something came up. He needed to try to get in touch with the Imam, and he was trying to go through certain people or whatever. They wouldn't respond to him, so he called me and told me if I can let the Imam know. So I told him, okay, when I present him with what I present him with. And so here, if you look at the video, you'll see I gave him Quran, then I said something to him. But with the time, I said, Brother Imam, your sister is trying to get in touch with you. I said, but I waved it off. And then after I finished, I sat down and just put in a note and sent the note down to him that Earl Abdul Malik, his assistant at that time, and I think in the area of public relations, was trying to get in touch with him. After the program was over, the Imam came, hugged me, shook my hand, and plus I had wrote a note in the Quran to the Imam, from me to him. So we did go back. So when you see that, that's actually what I'm telling him. And later on that day, as if I recall correctly, he could correct me. We had talked because the Imam was there this weekend in '94, and he was talking about moving here, and I wrote the book. In fact, that's what led to our relationship. When Earl Abdul Malik came on board, he reached out to people that he said he knew the Imam had respect for, and that he took my book everywhere, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, we were talking. It was at the Robert Treat Hotel. I was at the table, Ali Muslim, the twins, Murad, etc. And I said, I understand Abdullah had passed, or that Farad had passed, and he said that's when he told us it was Abdullah, Muhammad Abdullah, and I communicated that to Abdul Malik too. We used to talk. So anyway, I'm trying to paint this picture that we had a relationship, and I didn't change it, and neither did Mahdi Islam Muhammad change it. Imam Earl Abdul Malik, he the one who kind of changed, and I guess he was so busy in what he was doing. And my experience, where I was looking at it, was people was working on him as they had worked on others. And like I said, I never worked for the Imam, so they were just basically trying to keep me from the Imam like others. But anybody that he had working for him and with him as an assistant, they was going to do anything they could to remove that, to get to the Imam. And if they spot a weakness, they're going to play on your weakness. And if they had to soup you up, make you think you this, that, and the other, and that's how I saw what was going on myself. And then the distance that we had, and then when I stepped forward, I thought we was all on the same note, and he became my biggest critic in that regard. But I'm just sharing that as history. That's something of the past. But again, I'm trying to say that I understand where some people where you were coming from. You know, you make your own decisions, but I wasn't exempt from. Even though I don't think he considered me a wizard like the others, I wasn't exempt from his criticism, etc. And that coming against me, and they call me a renegade. So you know, that's that. Where we at now, and like I say, you know, you have some good people I notice respect him and have come to me and say it'd be good if we can work together, etc., etc., etc. So again, this has been long, so it'll be out there, inshallah, if Allah allows it to go out. Okay. Love you all, brothers and sisters, and you know, again, we're documenting, preserving, and sharing our history for now and future generations. A lot of what I'm talking about, you know, 20 years ago, some wasn't even born, and most certainly some wasn't even around. So, alhamdulillah, pray Allah accept our good intentions.
Is the authentic teaching of Islam in the Holy Quran, that we must be free to utilize our mind and our thoughts and our heart and our soul and our spirit. And don't be afraid to go into the Quran and the life of the prophet for yourself. As long as your intentions are good, your heart is right, and you pray to God to protect you against the whispers of Satan. And you ask him to guide you, and he will guide you. And he has guided our leader, Imam Muhammad, and he's raising up brothers and sisters who are not afraid, who are not cowards, who are not afraid to go into the book, who are not afraid to stand up upon principle. Imam Muhammad is raising up brothers and sisters throughout this country that will turn this world around. Inshallah, I greet you. Assalamu alaikum.